only to United States, but also to China. And investments from China, from data center, AI, in telecommunications. We met, for example, Huawei, ZTE, some of the industries who are already big, making Malaysia as the hub. First, the energy hub of the region. We are now becoming semiconductor hub for the region. And many of the big international companies, corporations, Chinese companies, are making their international branches, headquarters, operations in Kuala Lumpur or in Malaysia. You see the loyalty not only of governments but also the private sector. In this case of one of our great Malaysian, Robert Koch, who actually stood firm and believed in the future of China and working together. At that time, most foreign investors ran away after the incident, the major incident, Tiananmen Square. Almost all overseas firms gave up and left. He stood firm. And he told me that. He gave the reason. He said, in business, like Anwar, you are in politics, there are certain ideals and principles you hold. At the time when almost every single foreign interest left or decided to leave, Robert Koch stayed and showed not only confidence but sincere friendship from what you call the dictate of the heart. Thank you.
Stocks offer the potential for higher returns than bonds, but also come with higher risks. Bonds generally offer reliable returns and are better suited for risk-averse investors. So we have stocks and bonds, and then forex and commodities. What about gold and silver? And which is the better investment?
Controls your money, and with all the various sorts of investments out there, how do you know which is the right one for you? To discuss on that topic today, joining me, I have Dr. Jyoti. Thank you for joining us. We have Dr. Nizam, and we also have Dato Rosman. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Dr. Jyoti, there are just so many investments out there. How do we know which is the right one for us?
For the investors, mainly the main thing is the risk appetite. To what extent they're willing to take the risk of that particular investment. Secondly, how informed they are, whether they are an informed investor or uninformed investor, whether they have got sufficient knowledge about that particular investment class and they can invest. And that's why you make your choice according to your risk appetite plus your informativeness.
Right. Dr. Nizam.
Well, I think Prof. Jyoti has mentioned kind of some of everything. But the way I see it, apart from setting your risk tolerance, is also determining your financial goals. So that would mean you need to establish the right timeline and what sort of asset class that would suit with that timeline. If you're talking about retirement funds, you may need to have a bit more of fixed income securities, perhaps.
Right.
If you, those are the younger ones.
The younger ones.
Probably they are in their 20s, 30s, perhaps. Perhaps in terms of asset class, equities will be more preferable. So I think the timeline, the financial goals, also part of the considerations.
Right. I think a lot of us focus only on the risk factor of whether if we have a return or not, and we don't know what length of period do we want to keep investing it for. Yeah, that is one thing. Yes, Dr. Rosman, your points, please.
Yeah, going through a couple of economic turbulence in 1998 and now the pandemic. What I can see is critical is for an investor to have a balanced investment portfolio.
Right.
So one can never be too sure of what is the right investment at any given time. So I think to have a balanced investment portfolio will be critical in order for the investors to remain healthy.
Right. When we say fixed income and the other types that come with it, how do we differentiate, Doctor?
Fixed income is you're sure about getting that particular coupon for a bond, 3 months once or 6 months once.
Right.
You'll be receiving the same money.
Okay.
You are sure of it. But like equities, the income is indefinite and plus it's variable.
Okay.
It may be positive or it may be zero.
Right.
So in that basis, same thing, like when you talk about commodities, commodities again is a different class by itself where you are trying to own some fundamental commodity, not for consumption, but you are just buying it for the sake of investment to resell it. And currencies, for example, is that all these instruments have got a secondary market.
Okay.
And the secondary market determines the price every day. And you look at how you're going to earn, like what Doctor said just now.
Yes.
How long?
How long?
What is your tolerance? How long you can park your money there and wait for the returns? But definitely the fundamental idea is high risk, high return.
Right.
And you want to go for get rich quick kind of schemes, it's just a gamble.
It's a gamble.
Is it? Okay, so you have to choose.
So you have to be informed.
Informed. How much information you have. Whether you are an informed investor or you're just taking a gamble.
Okay. If you were to take me, I only know about two. Saving it or putting it in a FD. So if I want to be a little bit more adventurous, what should I consider?
Well, obviously, one critical thing that we need to understand is that there's inflation.
Inflation is always there.
Inflation will, work as a tax. The worst thing about inflation is like it works like a tax, but it will tax you irrespective whether you are rich or poor. So in that sense, investment kind of compulsory, the way I see it. So investment, of course, subject to the kind of returns that you may get. And therefore, the next question is, what are the asset class that really suits your benchmark? Take, for instance, ASB.
Yes.
Their benchmark is FD rates.
Yes.
A lot of critics about this, around these issues. But if you look at the nature of ASB, it's kind of hybrid. One is like unit trust, the other one is like FD, and therefore the benchmark is FD. So the point that I want to make is that about investment is also deciding the right kind of benchmarking is also critical. The standard benchmark, I would say, inflation. If you look at EPF also, they also consider inflation to be part of their kind of dividend policy, so to speak, whereby they will take into account the state of the inflation for the past 3 years.
Okay. Stocks and bonds, how can we view it? Is it very risky, or what are the main comparisons that will help us decide?
Well, I guess for private investors, we'll be looking at more stocks as opposed to bond, because it's easy access,
right?
And it's basically there's no barrier to entry as opposed to bonds. So I guess different investors will have different kind of appetite, like what
Yes.
Dr. was saying. Yeah, for private investors, stocks will be more appealing to them.
Appealing.
Yeah. Then again, we also be looking at the hybrid kind of investment like ASB, which or basically ASW for that matter for non-booming. So these are basically something different. When we use it to peg against the inflation rate, most of the time will be higher.
Right.
So that's what we'll be looking at.
Yes.
Adding on to that,
Yes.
the investor see what is your real return.
What is your real return?
A real return means that your return minus the inflation factor, like what they said.
Yes.
You minus the inflation factor, what extra you're getting. Sometimes you can go into investments where you are getting negative real return.
And these are things that people are not aware of.
Not aware of,
Yes.
because your inflation is already there. Whether your investment is earning anything more than inflation or is it earning something less than inflation. And again, people are not very aware what is the inflation rate right now. And that is variable. It will be changing.
Where can they go to find out?
They can
more
find
on
it out
this?
in central bank statistics and all these things. They are reported. From time to time, they report the inflation rate.
Okay. Form of returns, right? How does this vary? And because I know of people who go like, yes, it looks like I'm making profit, but I'm really not getting anything, and it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. So does this also come back to the risk appetite and knowing how long to wait for it?
Yeah, I say yes. I mean, each asset class would have a different kind of risk and different kind of volatility. If it's fixed income, typically it gives you a steady kind of returns. But typically also, when there is a rising interest rate environment, there you have a situation whereby your bond prices could actually go down because the relationship between interest rates and bond prices, they are inversely related. These are quite technical terms.
A little technical, a little
but
bit. Yes.
Typically these are the concern about the bond market, like what we are experiencing at the moment. We saw a sharp rise in the 10-year yield in the US Treasury markets.
Yes.
Now it's hovering around 1.7%. Earlier on, it was like 0.9%. And there seems to be a market talk, a market chatter, so to speak,
Right.
that the Federal Reserve could, at some point, would want to raise their interest rates. So in this type of market, fixed income may not be that too favorable because we are expecting rates to rise and therefore your bond price to go down. So in this type of environment, people will be focusing more on equities because there was a lot of excitement, a lot of expectation in terms of the earnings going forward. Yeah.
Right. On that note, we will take a break, and when we come back, we will discuss more on Forex and commodities. So stay with me on Who Controls Your Money.
All the best, RTM, on your new launch for RTM World.
Congrats to the RTM for the new channel. All the best and good luck for the RTM.
All the best pada RTM yang akan melancarkan RTM World. Hope you success.
I hope the media play important role in the world. So with the presence of RTM World, my special request is promote more tourism and the youth, the activity in Asia, and especially RTM must be constructive media.
Good luck RTM yang akan melancarkan RTM World.
We are from Japan Media, and we would like to wish RTM on launching a new channel, RTM World. Congratulations to RTM.
RTM の世界チャンネルの開設の成功をお祈りしております。頑張って。
Hey, start your day with the numbers that matter. We're live weekdays at 7:45 a.m. with your quick market recap. We've got the losers, the gainers, the movers, the shakers, and some quick currency trends as well.
Plus, quick updates on commodities, all in just minutes.
And when the trading ends for the day, we've got you covered as well at 6:45 p.m. weekdays with a market wrap-up.
But hey, no reports on the weekends or public holidays.
Of course, when the market sleeps, so do we. This is Trax Trade Talk.
Kecemasan, boleh saya bantu?
Hello, there's been a motorcycle accident here. Maybe an elephant ran it over.
Sir, there is fire accident at the address number 5 Jalan Tembika Shah Alam.
PGO from FRT Shah Alam, there was no fire accident here. Over.
MERS 999. Use it wisely.
16 with the 7-4.
Barcelona has approved a plan to double the city's tourism tax beginning April.
Asian Marine Affairs and Fisheries Ministry.
Yes, as Thailand as well. There are nothing spots in Mexico.
And we are back on who controls your money. Looking back into Forex and commodities. So Dato, can you give me some vague idea at least on what should I consider if I want to look into Forex and commodities?
Well, Jess, I would like to share my experience way back in the early 90s,
Yes,
you know, when I first started to get into the job industry. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity, you know, for youngsters back then to make a lot of money from being an agent for Forex, not knowing what we are getting ourselves into. So, and at the same time, nobody really knows how it really works.
Right.
And to my surprise, this trend is coming back. Yeah,
It's
and recently,
resurfacing.
yes, resurfacing. And recently we've been hearing a lot of issues with regards to Forex. To me, it is very high risk. And if you are not well equipped, you know, with the right knowledge, it's quite easy for us
To burn out.
Yeah, to burn out.
The volatility is...
And it could be a scam.
It could be a scam.
It could be a scam. Whereas commodities is something which is actually more palatable. Yeah. Of course, we can look at agri products, and also we can look at other sort of commodities like gold and silver. And quite recently, you know, gold has been the trending.
It's been the favorite right now.
Yes, that's right. So I guess gold it is a commodity which has been used for years and years, and it has been
that standing
proven.
power.
Yes, yes. So I think if you were to ask me, right, which one would be safer, I would go for
And it's been
something which has
trending
been
since, I think, 2020, since the pandemic started.
Yes.
Yes.
So I would go to...
You would go to gold.
To commodities like gold.
Gold, okay. Dr. Nizam, commodities trading is usually described as a future contract, right? How does that work?
Well, futures is actually a derivative.
How does those contracts, come about?
I would say it is meant for institutional, and it is used as a part of risk management, whereby there's hedging. It's a hedging mechanism.
Hedging.
To protect, the players from the volatility in the markets. So it's a form of risk management, the way I see it. But the thing is, there are speculators in the markets.
Right.
There are also arbitrages in the markets, trying to take advantage between the spot and also the futures market. So there's also